What's up, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of One Podcast for Nerds, our nerdy video game podcast. This is a place where we talk about video games, music, and golden oldies of the frustration variety. I'm one of your hosts, Andrew, and I'm excited to be here with you, the listeners, and talk about video games. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Austin.
I think this is going to be a good episode, Dale.
Yeah, Dale. Who the fuck is Dale?
You know, it's the same thing as Bob from like the NFL. No, okay. Anyways, go ahead.
No. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. Okay, and Nolan.
Yep.
How's it going, Nolan?
I'm doing pretty good over here.
Yeah, got some wife jokes.
No, please don't.
No, right now I'm dealing with my girlfriend. No.
Wow, fair enough. And lastly, our producer, Bones.
Bones.
Bones. Oh my god, are you gonna do that every episode? I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it reminds me of Infinity War when his name.
Yeah, when they all die.
Hey, just so you know, one day I might want you to do the like when you did your audition.
Star-Lord.
When you did your audition, I think I would. When you did your audition, I think I'd like you to one day do it on the show. Yeah, when you for the company in Kelowna. Your monologue?
Oh, like Book It Talent? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. One day you gotta do that. You gotta do it for us one day. I think that'd be sweet. I'd be into it.
Are you talking about
recording this
monologue? You want me to do a monologue?
Yeah, when you did your monologue from the what was it? It was the ending of
the group therapy scene with Steve Rogers in Endgame.
No, it wasn't Steve Rogers. It was Banner and.
I'm pretty sure I know what the monologue I did was.
Okay.
No, it wasn't that. You didn't do that. I wasn't there. I know.
All right, moving on. We have a great show for you today. We'll be talking about sales and numbers regarding Nintendo Switch, one of my favorite Netflix originals getting canceled, which I'm pretty sure won't be just my favorite. How PlayStation is selling consoles at a loss. Your PS Plus Gold and Xbox Gold free games. This is a place where we as gamers come together, have a good time, and create wicked memories. But we, the hosts, want to be able to be in contact with you, our listeners. And this can happen by subscribing to our Patreon account, where you'll be able to participate in our polls, conversations on the message board, and ask us questions that you would like to be answered on the show. This can be done for an easy $4 a month or $5 Canadian. If you don't want to be a Patreon subscriber, that's okay. You can always do a one-time donation on Anchor. By supporting us, you'll allow us to work on new segments, help us create more content for you, the Patreon subscribers. We have fun stuff coming down the pipeline this year, but stay tuned to hear more about that. If you're not able to support us, that's also okay. You can still listen to us for free on many of the podcast services available around the world. So with all that being said, let's get this show on the road. Let's get to the news. Nintendo Switch. Please do that in future episodes. I would love it so much. Nintendo Switch has surpassed the 3DS sales over a 4-year period. This is from GameIndustry.biz. The firm Nintendo revealed in its last financial report that 79.87 million Switch devices have been shipped worldwide. The console is currently Nintendo's 5th best-selling machine behind the Nintendo DS with 154 million, Nintendo Wii 101.6 million, and the Game Boy, which will probably forever be my favorite, 118.7 million, and the Game Boy Advance 81.5 million. Nintendo estimates that the Switch is sitting at around 74. That refers to actual consumers buying the console from a retail store. So basically, that 79.87 million is shipped, hasn't been sold. So they're estimating about 74 million have actually been purchased by consumers, which would be me. And that is a lump sum of both the Switch and the Switch Lite. So
it's kind of a drop off though from like the other consoles because they all sold like over 100 million.
Yeah, well, I mean, so the DS was the DS is actually the best selling console out of everything, I believe. It even beat the PS2. So I might look that up real quick before I say that firmly. But the DS is actually so the DS is actually the best selling like video game console, definitely handheld. But if you're to like put everything together, it is the best. And I mean, like the DS had such a great lineup of video games, though, and it's the most easily portable device that Nintendo has ever made. Because like even with like my 3DS right now, I mean that thing it's pretty big compared to like the DS because I have the XL size, like not the it's nothing smaller, but the like if you think of like the DS Li, like you could wear like a nice dress shirt and like just pop that thing in your left pocket. And so like I mean, and then the Wii was a huge phenomenon. I mean, with the whole motion control and stuff like that. I mean, that thing did so well, but then you had the Wii U, which crashed. Which, on a side note, I read earlier that the DS Lite actually surpassed the Wii U, which isn't like a huge. It's not like a huge hurdle to jump over because the Wii U was kind of a flop, but it did surpass it. So the Switch Lite's on its way to grow. But yeah, you're right with like the 100 millions and stuff like that. But you also have to realize that you said the word console, but like really it's only the Wii that's on there that's actually a console. As for like the DS, the Game Boy, and the Game Boy Advance were all handhelds. But that being said, like what do you guys think about like the Switch surpassing the 3DS, which I don't actually know how long the life cycle of the 3DS was after the DS. Like
Are we
just
including?
ended last year.
Are we including the new 3DS as well?
Yeah, it would be all like iterations of the 3DS. So you
Oh,
had
then
3DS,
that's
3DS,
actually quite surprising.
because like yeah,
3DS is an amazing little console.
what was the life cycle of the 3DS? Does anyone
The
actually,
first one,
yeah,
I had
whenever it
mine
released.
for at least 3 years, and then I bought a new 3DS afterwards, and I had the new 3DS up until it finished. So I want to say at least over 5.
Okay, so put this in perspective. The Switch
The
came
Switch
out
is a
for
hybrid, though.
well, the Switch, yeah, it is a hybrid. Well, we'll get to that. Because I got a lot to talk about. I got a lot to say about like how it's a hybrid. But 4 years ago, the Switch was released, so it was 2017. As of March, this coming March, so 3 years and 11 months. But the 3DS was released back in February 26th, 2011. So in 10 years, the Switch has surpassed the 3DS in 4. And then
Fuck.
also keep in mind that the Nintendo DS, well, that's a lie, actually. It wouldn't be 10 years, it'd be 9 years because they stopped making 3DSs last year. But I believe, yeah. They stopped
But
selling
for
a
a
lot of
while,
them.
the DS was also marketed to a different type of gamer
Kids.
with all the, but with the like all the mind games and
Oh, yeah.
things
So
like that. Like it was
kids,
marketed to a lot of older people just to keep their
yeah,
mind sharp and to
memory
stave off
games.
Alzheimer's and dementia.
Is that true though?
Yeah, no, he's right. Yeah, it was marketed to an older,
No, I mean
older,
like,
older generation.
did it actually help them with their dementia?
Well, I don't think anyone.
I
I don't
saw
think anyone.
ads when
No,
I
it's
was
just
living
fun.
in the UK that kind of suggested it without saying it, probably for legal reasons.
Well, I think
Okay.
because no study, I to my knowledge to this day, I mean, I will maybe look it up for next episode, but to my knowledge right now, I don't think a study's ever been done. Like, because we're thinking brain age and all that crap, right?
Yeah.
It just helps you
Yeah.
enjoy the decline a bit more.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's easier. It's easier. Yeah. No. He no. But Nolan is right. It was marketed to both like younger kids and the more elderly adult as being like an easy use. Like for them, it's about how to use the mind games and like memory games to keep your memory fresh, and Alzheimer's would be a good example, like Nolan used. And then kids, because while it was an easy portable thing, it was cheap, and a lot of the games on there were like for people like me who are like Nintendo fandoms, but also for like a younger audience as well. But I mean,
Keeps your
like,
kids quiet in the car.
you would know.
I do.
But
I
on
would
that,
not.
but I was actually gonna look up. Wii U console sales because I am curious how many Wii U's were sold. So if you guys want to vamp for me for 2 seconds.
So, what was your guys' favorite game that came out on the Wii?
I still love Mario Kart.
Actually, I'm gonna hold my answer for later because my answer is gonna tie into a different news.
Oh, okay.
News headlines.
I was, and this isn't even a meme. My fucking boy was Wii Sports, bro. That game was unbelievably good.
One of the
Dude, I
best.
loved the golf. I bought like 3 other golf games, and every one of them sucked compared to golf on the Wii Sport.
Baseball was really good too.
That was
Um, yeah, no, man. Like, it's one of those things where, even though I haven't had a Wii since like, God, I was like 12, maybe.
For $10, Nolan will sell you one.
Yeah, no, thank you. Um, that's the one memory I have for it, man. Like,
Well, I looked it up here real quick, and 19.54 million Wii U's were sold.
that's
wow,
it.
that hurts.
That does hurt because I'm an apologist for the Wii U. I think that console was fucking awesome.
Well, you're fucking wrong. Just kidding.
No, I'm fucking right.
Well, nearly 7 billion people disagreed with you.
Yeah, well, all 7 billion people can go suck it. The reason why that console was so goddamn great is because it had something that the Switch does not have, and that I would like in some shape or like. I like what they're doing with the Switch, but the Virtual Console was the best thing on the Wii U. And like I had more old games on that Wii U than I have ever bought like new games. Like easy 10-1. For every one Wii U game I had like 10 like Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance games. I like N64 games were on there. Like man, I had a lot, and it was awesome. Like, and to be able to like at some points, like I didn't even play it on the TV because you can play all those old games directly on like the Wii U pad, and I would literally just have the thing plugged into my wall, no TV, and I just go lay in bed and I would play like Golden Sun or Final Fantasy 3 or Super Smash Brothers and stuff like that. Like I played all of that like on my Wii U, and it was awesome. God, I'm so upset. I mean, I got a sweet deal for it when I traded in for my Switch, but God, I cried a little when I did it. Also on the Wii U, that was the best goddamn game ever that I wish would come to Switch was Nintendo Land.
Oh,
Never played it.
Man, I love Nintendo Land, and I would like if they could form some way of it coming to Switch, which would be hard because one game on there was oh god, what was it called? I don't know. Anyways, it you had to like basically it was a 5-player game. One of you would be Mario, so you'd have the pad. The game pad is Mario, and you control Mario with the pad. The other 4 players would be on the screen as Toads, and literally Mario Chase, haha. And you'd actually have to chase Mario around. So like all 4 of you had to work together to chase him around and like tackle Mario. And man, the amount of deeks and dukes I would do like all the way through that to like get away from like any of the Toads was amazing. And like it would record your face the entire time. So as you're looking at the screen, you see like your Toads, and then my face would be like right in the middle where I'm like all serious into this, being like, what the fuck is going on? Like, oh man, it was such a good game. I miss that game so much. But they had a lot of good Nintendo Land was awesome, and I would love it to come back. I mean, 19.54 million people know what I'm talking about. So that's all that matters.
Okay. Apparently, on February 4th of this year, 2021, Super Nintendo World theme park in Osaka, Japan opened.
I thought they pushed it back.
I don't know. I just pulled it up here. Maybe this is wrong.
Have you watched the trailer for
I
that?
thought that was delayed.
yeah, it looks fucking great.
I just thought of it like, oh, that'd be cool if there's a theme park for Nintendo Land, and then I looked it up just right now.
Yeah, no. Have you watched the trailer for it though?
No,
It
this is the
looks
first
so
time.
awesome.
If no one has watched the trailer for that, watch the trailer for it. Like there was a Nintendo Direct like for that theme park. That theme park looks goddamn unreal. Like it looks like
it
you
looks
actually
like a video game. It does.
it does. And like watching the coins like twirl in the light is mind-boggling. On the note of like how well the Switch is done, I'm gonna go through key games over the last 9 months that sold really well. So Super Mario All Stars 3D, 8.32 million shipped. Sorry, didn't sold, shipped. My fault on that one. So 8.32 million shipped of Super Mario 3D All Stars. Paper Mario Origami King, which I kind of want, but I'm on the fence about, 3.05 million. Pikmin 3, I've played it and beat it already. 1.94 million. Mario Kart Live Home, which I'm actually slightly surprised about, 1.08 million, and Ring Fit Adventure, which I also own, is 5.95 million units. By giving it sales of about, but like from sales reports, it's about 8.68 million. So Nintendo says that there have been 29 titles which have sold over 1 million units on Switch during the fiscal year so far. Granted, we're in a pandemic, so some games obviously be like Animal Crossing. Mario Kart 8 is still the best-selling Switch game. So yeah, there's. I mean, given the pandemic, I'm sure Switches were so hard to find during this year or last year. Sorry. I mean, like I had a friend looking for one, and man, it took him probably 4 months to find one.
Fuck, eh?
Yeah, it was hard. Well, Nolan, you wanted one, and you were having a hard time, weren't you?
Yeah, I had to buy mine off of some sucker.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that guy was an idiot.
Yeah, but you know what? I hear he has good hair.
I've heard
He does have
otherwise.
good hair.
I have heard otherwise from a lot of people. A lot of his ex-girlfriends, actually.
Thanks.
Yeah. Don't know what that
Yeah,
means.
yeah, but I hear they're mean people.
This might be true because they did leave him, and he's a pretty good guy. So.
Yeah. Fuck you,
Yeah.
Janice, you
Decent
bitch.
All right. So moving on to a next one. So I know this is a video game podcast, but I had to cover this because I include this in our Nintendo section because it's Nintendo related. Nintendo reportedly canceled a live-action Zelda Netflix series and a Star Fox claymation, and this comes from IGN. News of the prospective live-action Legend of Zelda series. This Netflix. Wow, I cannot read today. This is from IGN. News of the prospective live-action Legend of Zelda series with Netflix hit headlines back in 2015. So this is an old story. When a person familiar with the matter reportedly told WSG that the streamer had described the upcoming show as a Game of Thrones for a family audience, with a story that would have follow Link's conquest to save Princess Zelda and the land of Hyrule. However, little more was said after that. So basically, a streamer had familiarity with it and was just like, "Yo, guys, heads up, Zelda's coming out." After it hit headlines, Nintendo probably freaked out and pulled the plug on all of their projects. So, regarding the Star Fox claymation, I couldn't find much about it, but I'm assuming something similar. Like, I guess because like there was conversation between people and like the public, like that, like people involved or familiar with the project ended up saying something, so like Nintendo just freaked out and pulled it, which is a little weird because like if you think about it, that's like half of movie marketing. Like imagine how many things have got leaked about like this is happening. Like I mean, if Tom Holland was involved, we'd already know what the story was about. So
That just makes me think maybe those leaked that leaked story just got some really bad reception.
I don't
Well,
think so.
I can't see how. Like it just
couldn't
none of
find
that makes
anything
any
about that.
sense.
I mean,
I
Unless
don't think
like,
they
claymation would
weren't
be a
going
good
to
way to
make
put
it.
that show across.
well, that's Star
Like,
Fox.
why
I mean,
claymation?
well, that was Star Fox, but I mean, like the Legend of Zelda was live
Legend of
action.
Zelda would be great, but you need a
I-
huge budget.
But I don't know, man. Think about it. Your protagonist. Okay, go on. Oh, sorry, go on, Austin.
I was about to say, for the live action one for Zelda, I don't really care because usually live action Netflix shows tend to be either hit or miss, right? Like not all of them are going to end up being Witchers, right? But for the claymation, the Netflix like animation party has been silently hitting out of the park for like the last 3 series they released. So it's a really big blow to get the Star Fox show taken up.
I think my
But
only
why
issue.
claymation? I mean, that game was sold on the type of like how 3D it was and the animation of it. Like, why make it claymation?
Because Nolan, you got to remember,
Jesus.
there's a lot of animation out there now. It's not back when anime coming over to America and like the North America for the first time, where it was kind of like hush hush, and you got made fun of for enjoying it, right? So there's a lot of regular anime out there, so they're probably trying to do something to stand out.
I actually think I fall under that group of the hush hush anime because I don't really care much about anime at all. Though I will say that
Some anime is really awesome though.
I will say though that if they did so my issue with this is if they did Zelda as an anime, I think I'd be way more inclined. But doing this as a live action where literally your protagonist does not speak a goddamn word is a little weird.
Yeah, and
because
also
then
to
you have to
say,
script it, and like, where do you draw on, like, how do you create that personality where
probably
you
from
don't
Breath of
have
the
anything
Wild.
like that in the game?
Well, no, but even
From-
with Breath of the Wild, like you have to realize that the whole concept of Zelda is that, or a Legend of Zelda is that you are Link. Like you are like when they made that game, the reason why he's silent is because you are that person. Like you are playing as Link. Like you are the protagonist. So like the way you want to do things and the way things happen is like it's kind of like your own personal reaction. Like the way the story goes is how it and the way it makes you feel is ideally how the way Link is supposed to feel. And that's why he
So it'd
actually
have
never
to
says a
be
word.
a Netflix series, but on VR. The
God
future
damn, that would be good. That would be
I was just
good.
about to say, it would be like maybe if they want to do that, maybe they just make it like canon that Link's a mute, like can't talk.
I mean, they could. There's nothing stopping them from doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
wouldn't
it would.
be
I think it
opposed
would
to
just. I would be slightly opposed to it. I don't know. Like, I would be more. Actually, that's a lie. I would probably take that over, over him not over him speaking. I think if he was to speak, that would actually ruin it more for me.
Yeah, so they just have him do sign language and just have his companions randomly know sign language.
And then you just teach a bunch of innocent children how to speak sign language.
Yeah, just like that.
It's a learning show in the end.
Yeah,
Nolan?
but like I was.
Sorry, he hasn't said anything for a while, so I figured I'd pull him in.
Did any of you ever watch the old Zelda cartoons?
I did.
He talks in there, doesn't he?
I know he does.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. I don't think he does. I don't know now. I'm
Well,
actually pretty sure he doesn't.
It could be like the Mandalorian, where he takes his helmet off like at the end of every season, and just at the end of every season of Zelda, he says one word, and it's like, oh wow.
At the end of
It's
like
just
6 seasons, he has one sentence down.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
Zelda hot babe. That's all he
Yeah.
has to say. I mean, let's
It's
be honest. That's
the
all
camera
he's thinking
slowly
about.
zooms in on his face, direct address, and he says one word.
I am currently looking up Legend of Zelda cartoon, and I am going to see if he actually speaks because I am super goddamn curious. Oh, and usually there's an ad. Of course, there's an ad. Why? Oh, pause. Sorry, guys.
So,
I wish I could play this for
essentially,
everybody, but I can't.
It's just
You got,
subtitles
like,
of his thoughts.
to keep us a
I'm
little
actually
on
turning
track
it on.
here.
I can't hear it.
Yeah, to keep us a little on track here. I'm actually I'm really disappointed about Star Fox, but like I
He
was saying
speaks.
before, Netflix's track record for live action shows aren't exactly amazing.
Well, what was the what? Well, and Marco Polo was super good.
It
was a
was, but
hit.
it just didn't ever.
It didn't hit with
Take
a lot of
off.
people though. No, so I mean to say that it's not. So to say that it's like it's a hit and miss. It's definitely a hit and miss with like a lot. Like if the majority of people aren't watching it, then yeah, they'll get rid of it. But hold up though. Hold up. So I just want to. I actually want to like. I want to stoke the fire here. So now Jonah brought up something really awesome. Is that Nintendo Land's
As
opening.
usual.
As usual, Nintendo Land's opening. Who's Nintendo Land opening with?
It's Universal
What do you
Studios.
mean?
Oh, do we all think that maybe
A Zelda movie?
well that maybe Nintendo wanted to actually like make better relations with Universal than with Netflix? Like, do you think maybe because Universal found out, or there's a relationship between like Universal Studios and Nintendo that like when Netflix came into the picture that it ruffled some feathers? Because like
That's possible. That makes
let's
a
be
lot of
honest.
sense.
Let's be honest. Like game leaks are pretty bad. Like when a game is leaked, like it's pretty bad. So you can argue that like Nintendo overreacted in that sense because like I mean like let's be honest, like Assassin's Creed Origin was like found out about on a plane, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was leaked on a plane.
Yep.
Like a guy just opened his laptop and Assassin's Creed Origin was there, and the guy next to him was like, "Oh, you're
hey,
making
what's
Assassin's
up?"
Creed Origin?" Yeah, like so it got leaked that way. And then, but like I mean that was pretty big. But I mean Ubisoft is a bad example because everything leaks. But I mean again, like going back to what I said earlier with like movies, like that's like half the marketing gig is where like when little snippets come out and it gets released to the public, you know, people get more hyped about the movie, about the TV show. I mean, like when
Sometimes.
like well, I mean, think about like Spider-Man 3 that's coming out, and like how like reports are coming out that like that Tobey Maguire is going back in it, Andrew Garfield's in it. I'm sorry, I don't remember the actor who played Octavius in Spider-Man 2 is coming back into it.
Yeah, he's gonna be in it.
Cameos.
Yeah, so
you
like
gotta
and like
remember
how hyped.
You're naming like a very popular series, right? There's other leaks that come out all the
Zelda,
time that
though.
people hate. Right?
Zelda's
Zelda,
pretty damn
though.
popular
Man, leave
though.
it alone.
Zelda's pretty popular though.
Yeah, like if they came out with a movie, I'd be okay with it, but I don't think that Netflix should do that TV.
I'm just curious if like Universal Studios and Nintendo kind of got into some ruffled feathers because of it.
Possibly.
Possible,
but,
man. That makes a lot of sense.
Universal doesn't do TV though usually, right? So
They do movies.
yeah, so like if they're also
Actually,
planning on doing a Zelda movie at the same time as a TV series, I don't think there's anything to really worry about in that situation.
We have Mario movie coming out with Illumination. Same creators as Minions. That's Universal.
Are you excited? Are you excited to see like Mario do Fortnite dances? Because you know that's probably what's going to end up happening with that.
I will probably watch it regardless, personally. And
there's no way it's going to be anywhere near as good as the Mario Brothers movie in the 90s.
God, that was so bad.
If Yoshi isn't a real goddamn dinosaur and like Bowser's not some weird like skull like horned dude, I'm gonna be really upset.
But after watching Sonic, I think they may have finally figured out the formula. You know,
that was a good movie.
Yeah, Sonic was surprisingly good. And I was 100% sure Sonic was gonna bomb, but you know,
it was gonna bomb when they first released. Sidetrack, but yeah, when they first released the images of what Sonic would look like, yeah, I was a little pissed.
And she'd cast Jim Carrey as Luigi and Zach Galifianakis as Mario.
Okay, that would be great. That would be so good. Oh my god, could you imagine though? Could you imagine? And then next thing you know, they're in Las Vegas, and they both did too much with them date rape drugs, and just blacked out.
Jesus Christ!
Oh my god! Hangover, and Mushroom Kingdom. I'd do it.
There you go.
Todd Phillips directs.
All right, moving on. So our next story is PS5s. So I haven't been able to get one. Austin, I know you haven't got one.
Yep.
Nolan doesn't know what it is. Bones is a Bones. He hasn't been able to get one though. I don't know if he. You'll get one. But
Are you telling me I'll get mine one day? Is that what
I was about to say, I like how you didn't even get a choice in the matter. I'm just like, no, you're buying one, bitch.
Hey, so there's a story behind his PS4 where I made him buy it. So if it has to be a PS5 too, so be it.
I had plans to buy it initially.
You did.
You were just
now you're not though. Just
you were my ride. I needed a ride to the mall, and you happened to be there. And then you're talking all this jive about PlayStations. I'm like, well, I guess I should.
So that goes to our listeners: is have you been able to get a PS5? This is from Polygon. Sony shipped more than 4.5 million PlayStation 5s. This isn't in the quote, but I will add a caveat that only about 10 to 15% of them were sold like secondhand. So like scalpers, about 10 to 15% were sold by scalpers.
Yeah, I hate those guys. Fuck those guys.
Oh, fuck them indeed. I'm gonna continue after I'm done burping my beer. From the console's November 12th launch to the end of the year, but it look at a loss on the sales because of PS5's strategic price point is lower than what it costs to manufacture it. Sorry to everybody that I butchered that sentence, but I'll explain it later. Sony PlayStation's revenue from the game sales, both PS4 and PS5, add-on content included, plus larger profit margins on outgoing PlayStation 4s more than made up for the shortfall. The company said, sorry, I'm really bad at reading that, but I'm going to explain what I just said. Basically, what happened here is that 4.5 million PlayStations were sold from November 12th. Holy crap. From November 12th to the end of the year. So that's November 12th to December 31st. I'm trying really hard. But for the strategic price point, which is like here in Canada,
you can do it.
It's $5.99 for a disc console, and it is $4.99 for a discless console. As to the States, it's $4.99, $3.99. So obviously, there's $100 difference between them and us. But for them to be competitive with Xbox, because the Xbox Series X launched at again here $5.99, States $4.99, but then they had the Series S at here it's $350, $449 right here, and then $349 in the States. Yeah. So because of the sales point to be competitive, like their sales price that they sold it at, PlayStation was selling it for less than what it costs to manufacture it. But them saying in here that with PS4, PS5 add-ons, and like the software, so like games and all that stuff, it made up more than enough to like make up that loss. So basically, PlayStation makes more off its games than it's making more off its games than it is its consoles.
Mm-hmm.
So isn't that what happened with the PS4 when that was first launched?
Yeah, it was. I think they were losing. I don't know how much they're losing now. I think it's about $50. Again, I'm spewing shit. If you, the listeners, want to go look it up, please do. I'm spewing shit, but I'm pretty sure it's $50 for PS5 that they're losing right now. But for the PS4, it was only $20.
Yeah, but even if it's $50, they'll make that back so fast off the customers.
Yeah, it's not, and to be fair, like, I mean, we're in a pandemic, so is that to say because like manufacturing is so low that costs of those products have gone up, right? Supply and demand, like,
possibly.
Yeah,
they will become cheaper to make
in the future. Yeah, well, I mean, again, like PS4, again, like if you think about it, like, you know, what was it, 2 years ago they were offering a PS4 with 3 games.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah, it will become cheaper to make. But I know when this whole thing started and like the shortfall was happening, it wasn't just because of the manufacturing process, because I believe PlayStation and Xbox are using some of the same parts, but a lot of the parts that they're using are also used in smartphones. Yeah. And so when you have like, and I mean, like I'm an Android user, so Samsung came out with their Samsung 21. So there's like, you got like a million phones being made right then and there. So that eats up into the supply. But again, like their software makes up more than enough for it for their loss, and that makes sense. I mean, they have a lot of first party releases.
That's also true.
The whole point of releasing it at a loss is for market share, because the number of users they have, the more users they have, the more they're going to make monthly with all their different revenue streams going into it.
Honestly, though,
I guess their share price would increase because they'll have more customers.
And for the like, you got to remember, yeah, they might be losing $50 on a console, right? But like every person who's going to go out there is probably going to buy an extra controller at like $90 to $100. I don't know how much the PS5 controllers cost right now, but you got to remember,
only cost $5 to make.
Yeah, so
yeah, peripherals
price,
are cheaper to make.
Yeah, so they're probably going to be making that up in other different segments of their stuff, not just games. It could be controllers.
Yeah, no, you're right.
All the little accessories, like the remotes.
Yeah, no,
Exactly.
again, yeah, you both are right. So peripherals, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier, but you guys nailed it on the head there. Yeah, so the peripherals, obviously, they do sell more than what it costs to make. So they do make money. They do make more money on the peripherals and on their software than they do on the actual console.
Apparently, they come with a nice set of headphones.
I don't know if they come with the headphones. I think you have to buy those separately.
Oh, a review I watched said it came with it.
Yeah, you're talking about the 3D headphones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you buy those separately. Yeah. But they are supposed to be super good, though. You don't. I've been reading up on it. You don't actually. You don't. There's some good third-party ones out there too that still have the same 3D audio. That being said, again, I'm not a PlayStation 5 user, so I can't say for certain if the settings for like how the audio works is a little different if you use their headphones compared to when you if you use like a third party one. But I'm just gonna I'm gonna okay, so I'm just gonna throw this out there here though real quick. So Japan goes off both this story and last story. Japan year to year in Japan, Switch has sold 536,000 units. PS5 sold 62,000 units. PS4 sold 72,000 units, and the 3DS sold 2,124 units. So regarding console wars in Japan, I would say that the PS5 dominated. So and I say that because it's to Nolan's idea of market share, right? That in Japan selling the PS5 at that price point, I mean, it's sold, right? And that's to say that, and I mean, that being said, again, caveat is that, or caveat, sorry, that is, Xbox has never, like Microsoft's never really done well in Japan. But if the PS5 was cheaper than the Xbox, I mean, would it be said that it sold better?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, perceived value might be lower though, because now it's like
Again,
lower...
this is a Japanese company versus a American one, right? Because Sony's Japan, Microsoft is. So keep that in mind with what you guys have to say, because I mean, Austin might be right, being no because it's Japan, but you guys might be right because it costs less. My God,
You're right.
I'm drinking a really nice beer. And if they want to
Doesn't
pay me,
sound like a nice beer.
if they want to pay me for saying the name, they can. So that's all I have to say.
We might all get a free PS5 out of this if we keep talking them up.
Man,
Yeah.
I would take that. I would take that hands down. Moving on to the next. Moving on. So we don't normally talk about, like, I don't think we'll ever talk about games coming out this month or anything like that, because other podcasts will do that, and there's always a huge list of things to go through, and we got too much fun stuff to talk about, so we will skip that. But because we are at the beginning of February, I do want to talk about games coming out for free on PlayStation and Xbox. So this month's PlayStation Plus games is Control Ultimate Edition on PS4 and PS5. Yeah, it's free. Now here's the thing though, is that when you go on if you go on the PlayStation 4 store, you will see it for PlayStation 4. And if you go on the PlayStation 5 store, you'll see it for both. And if you go on your phone using the PlayStation app, you'll see it for both. So there'll be two free Control Ultimate Editions. I say if you have a PS4, download them both. If you have a PS5, 100%. Or sorry, if you're using the phone, download them both. If you have a PS5, download them both. If you still have a PS4, download them both anyways. It doesn't matter. Just download both of them regardless, just to be safe. Because when Call of Duty came out, there was a whole spiel about how people are downloading the PS4 version and not the PS5 version, and that's a whole thing. So just download them both for free. You can't go wrong. Also, if you have a VR, Concrete Genie is out, which I haven't played. I have downloaded, and I may report on that next time. So I'm kind of into it. I'm curious what it's like. So I will give that. I'll give that a whirl for, because it's free. On PS5 only is Destruction All Stars, which none of us have played because none of us own a PS5. But I did read I didn't read it, but I saw the IGN rating. They gave it a 6, which isn't awesome for me. Basically, it's like I don't know, Fortnite meets Apex meets, like, basically you're in a car.
It's a battle royale. essentially.
Yeah, it is a battle. Yeah, it's a battle royale. You're in a car. You can like smash things and do stuff, but you can also be on foot, get hit by a car. But if you don't get hit by a car, you can actually like take over someone's car and like destroy it. I don't really know, but look into it. Apparently it's not that great, but I did listen to an interview with the developers and how like they have like a whole thing planned, like they have like the whole next year planned for the game, and like some people are thinking like maybe like Kratos will make an appearance, or like Drake from the Uncharted, like they might start bringing in like first party PlayStation characters into the game. I mean, some games, like some of these games, I like release badly, but I think a year down the road they're like supremely amazing. So I mean, who knows? This might be a really good game. But yeah, all right. Well, that's all we got from the news. And after this, we are going to move on to music.
So everyone has that one song they can play in the background no matter what situation, no matter what game, what genre, or anything like that. But first, I actually have a question. Do you guys have a song like that you would play during like any background at all?
I think it's
I
disrespectful
never really know.
for the music producers of the video game, so I just listen to video game music.
Like even if you're like just grinding, for example.
I don't play other music behind in the background of the video game that I'm playing that has music.
Like not even grinding or anything?
Well, if you're grinding, you're on the dance floor, and the DJ's got you covered, so you don't.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Good
What about
times.
you guys?
I often don't listen to the game music.
Really?
I often have my own music and my headphones going.
I lately I've been lately having Capcom Mega Man music stuck in my head, like particularly Mega Man X for Super Nintendo, where it's just like dun 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 dun. I don't know why I've had that stuck in my head for so long. Like
Well, I mean, it's
love
good
Mega Man
music.
music. I love Mega Man music.
But see, for me personally, during any situation, if I'm just running around in Persona or I'm grinding away at Destiny, I could listen to actually the topic we're listening to right now, which is Ezio's family from Assassin's Creed 2. I know Nolan's probably going to be the outlier here, but have you guys played any Assassin's Creed games?
Bones?
Yes, Origins and Odyssey.
So
And I
you
gotta
played
say,
the new
Odyssey was
ones.
amazing.
Alright, perfect.
I've played Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 3. I've played and Origins, and
so
like
you skipped over the entire Ezio trilogy.
Literally, I buy things as they come on sale, and also have a limited amount of funds. And so when Origins came out and everyone was saying how great Origins was and it was on sale, I was like, I'm gonna do it.
Oh, well,
And
you know
yeah,
nothing
I
wrong with
almost
that.
did. I almost bought the trilogy though. It was on sale for a while for PS4, but I don't know what kept stopping me. I don't know. I didn't.
Well,
I just didn't.
honestly, man, you missed out on probably some of the best Assassin's Creed games, at least in my opinion.
Well, because
Yeah,
of you,
these all
Austin.
I never played any of these. These all came out during my dark ages.
But because of you, Austin, because of you, I did listen to Ezio's family.
They should remaster the old one.
I
What do
think
you mean the old one?
So I think he's talking about 1, 2, and pretty much the rest of Ezio's stuff.
So I was watching the video clip of Ezio's family getting hanged, and those are not great graphics.
No. Well, it's an old game, man. It's an old game.
The first one wasn't that great though. I mean, like it was very repetitive.
Well, see, that's the whole. That's what made Assassin's Creed 2 so perfect, right? They took a good baseline like Assassin's Creed 1 with an uninteresting protagonist and like a cookie cutter plot, and they actually expanded on it in every different aspect. Like Assassin's Creed 2 is an absolutely phenomenal game, but for me, the thing that really sold that game was its music, and the musical composer Jesper Kyd didn't only do Assassin's Creed games, even though he was actually known for them. He was directly in control of the but he's actually known for other games. He's did the first 4 Hitman games.
Oh,
He
really?
did all. Yeah, he did. He also
Okay.
did all 3 Borderlands.
Oh, really?
Right. So he hasn't been around for a super long time, but
No.
he has done some real fucking banger games, guys.
Well, Borderlands pretty popular, so for sure that for me
Yeah.
personally.
The
Nice pun.
real fun fact is, Jesper Kidd did the first 4 Assassin's Creed games as well. So he did up until Revelations. So he did all of Ezio's stuff and all of Altair's stuff. And then afterwards, for Assassin's Creed 3 and Black Flag, they went with a different composer, which he himself said, he's like, no, it's okay. Like, they're going through it for a different style of music. But then they brought back Ezio's family for every single game after that. So there's actually a different version of Ezio's family for every single game filmed or composed like it would be composed in that region.
Do you know? I just a quick question. Was it used ever in like the movie?
Actually, I didn't know. I didn't even think about looking that up.
I'm gonna do it while you
on
talk.
his-
I'm gonna do it actually, if you don't mind.
Yeah, because like he did come back after 9 years since Revelations. He did compose AC Valhalla, which speaking of Valhalla, did you try Valhalla Bones?
No, not yet. I'm still working my way through Odyssey.
Okay, Odyssey's a big game, so I can understand that.
There's a lot. There's a lot to get through.
No, I'm looking up Assassin's Creed, and there's a lot of games there.
A lot.
Yeah, man. It's a big. You know where it's made too, right?
In Quebec.
Yeah, Montreal.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it?
Montreal.
Ubisoft Montreal, man.
Another 2 games that he also did, which is surprisingly which has some really good soundtrack. Darksiders 2. Has anybody played Darksiders series?
I have played Darksiders. I played Darksiders 2. I didn't play 1 or 3.
Yeah, see, 3 is pretty well, not great. 1 is all right, but Darksiders 2 is really special, and it has a great soundtrack. I still remember when you finally get your horse and you ride out into the open area, that first map. Man, is that fucking great. The music's blaring. It's just awesome. To start off, as always, I got our other host to listen to the song beforehand. And honestly, I'm curious about your guys' opinion on it.
I listened to all the versions on YouTube, and
Yeah.
I liked how the instrumentation changes throughout. But it was also interesting how in the Origins one, they have like synthesizers going, but in an Odyssey, they have more not period correct instrumentation, but more instrumentation that doesn't rely on like electronic music so much. Like the music, the
100%.
instrumentation sounds like it's more period accurate, even though they probably, I don't know if they had like acoustic guitars back in those days.
They probably
might
used
have had
loops.
like a lute or a mandolin or whatever.
And like the Assassin's Creed Valhalla one is awesome too, man. They got like the Viking deep instead of the high the woman singing it. It's like this deep Viking, man. It's good.
Yeah, it's more period correct type music. And then I noticed in the earlier versions of Assassin's Creed, they have like actual distorted electric guitar.
Yeah.
So I think they're getting more accurate to the time period with their instrumentation. That's what I noticed.
And I'll actually get into the electric guitar. But Nolan, what do you think?
I never played the game, but I listened to the song, and I thought, like for Assassin's Creed 2, I thought it was the music was beautiful, and you could hear that haunting singing from the woman there, and like just in the background of it, and it seemed like a really atmospheric song to me, and it felt like listening to it, I could feel that there was some kind of like, I don't know, grief or something like that, and the end of it
Inner
was a bit
turmoil.
melancholy. And so then when I Googled Assassin's Creed 2 and looked up the plot of the game, it all made sense and it all really fit really well.
Yeah. And like that's what I mean. It's a song that you can literally listen to in any situation. Like I literally listened to that song on the bus reading a book. But Andrew, what did you think about it?
Well, I'm wondering if you lost your phone while listening to the song, reading a book, but
I did lose my phone listening to this song, actually, reading the book.
That's how euphoric those melodies are. You get lost in them.
I actually have to agree with a lot with Nolan said because yeah, he's right. Like with like when you listen to it, it's like listening to an opera, like orchestra going for it. And then like, yeah, you have that lady just saying the in the background and stuff. And yeah, you get a sense of grief, or, as you said, inner turmoil, where like, Ezio's family is dealing with a dramatic loss or pain of some sort. And it's brought through in the song and in the music itself. So yeah, I have to say I do agree with a lot with Nolan, what Nolan said.
What was interesting to me was reading the comments when I looked up the song, and like so many of the comments were like, "This isn't Ezio's family. This is Assassin's Creed."
And actually,
like,
I'll get back
the
into
whole
that
community
later on.
seems to, the whole community seems to just really take to that song, and
Well,
all the
because
different
The
iterations
same
of it.
melodies used throughout each series.
Well, that's because it actually was picked up afterwards to later become the Assassin's Creed theme. It's not just Ezio's theme anymore.
So I just got a quick question on my part.
Yeah, what's up?
Well, so I'm not that far into Origins personally, and so I'm just curious, like, and I'm gonna sound like a real idiot about it, but like, in what part does it actually play in Origins that you hear it?
The intro, like the main.
Is it
screen.
actually the intro, like the main screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, man! I'm gonna have to listen harder next time I play it. I don't.
So-
I have to say I don't listen to the intro music that hard.
And
Except
also,
for Mega Man.
it's just like the title card. For example, in Assassin's Creed 2, it really flares up during the title card when it's like, "Welcome to Assassin's Creed 2." I'm guessing it probably does the same in Origins.
So
But see,
no, sorry. So it became famous because of that intro scene, or was it like more prominent during like a very like dramatic scene that happened in the game?
no, just the intro.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the main
Cool.
theme music that all
Yes,
the music
it's
in the game is based on that.
Oh, okay. Cool. I
See-
sound like a loser in this, but I'm down
no
with it.
man. It's
That's fine.
this is all to learn, right?
I'm not really a
See-
nerd. I'm just a wannabe that sits here.
See, I fell in love with this song, this song, because just through the instruments that Kid decided to use during it. See, and I can't believe I'm gonna make this comparison. Just like the Powerpuff Girls, Kid decided to use everything extra spice and everything nice, right? He used piano, both electric and acoustic guitars, beautiful human vocals, and violins. So he had a little bit of everything in the
Oh,
kitchen sink with
God.
that.
I love that analogy more than anything in the world right now. That was great.
Yeah, right.
Thank you for that.
With extra spice.
Yeah. Now, to actually explain it better than I could ever have, right? See, I was gonna take excerpts from different websites and everything like that, but this one guy, Jared Scott from GamingUnion.net, explains the song perfectly, and I think it would come across better to you guys and the audience just from his undivided point of view. It begins with both piano and heavily processed synth. There's a very soft, light, and calm tone. It's so calm, in fact, that it would be content just to loop with the music, remaining in a loop, playing the same soft sound over and over. But thank goodness the composer chose not to do so. Instead, the music is taken up a notch from the prelude. With little time wasted, the piano and synths are accompanied with a choir of droning vocals that exude tranquility in the voice. Joining the choir is an electric guitar, also playing calmly and precisely. As the song progresses, the volume increases, and in turn adds a sense of expectation. Acoustic guitar joins the scene. But then something interesting happens, something that I can only assume takes a considerable amount of experience and creativity to achieve. There's a moment where you hear the melody rise, but it sounds like a voice of a young girl vocalizing along to the music. Actually, that does come later. This is just an electric guitar from earlier. I listened to Ezio's Family perhaps dozens of times, and still I mistake the initial sound for the voice of a young child every time. After a brief period, the guitar is phased out for ethereal vocals to take center stage. Are you all paying attention here?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we're
All
still
No,
right.
here.
yeah. I agree. I actually really agree with that statement because yeah, I mean like when you listen to it for the first time and Nolan said that with the girl like vocalizing her tones into the music and then Jonah saying that too with the synthesizer and the
See, that's
electric
actually caught me
guitar.
off guard when you brought that up, because I didn't think you guys would catch the synthesizer in the very first few times of the song.
Well, I mean, like Jonah said though, like later in the game, and then like I think back to when I was playing Origins, and Jonah says like, no, that's the intro, and then like I'm sitting here thinking back to the intro because I again instead of for some weird reason Mega Man comes into mind, but when I think back to the intro, like there is like that synthesizer aspect to the song and the electric guitar, but then when I listen to it on YouTube, you do hear like a young girl like doing her vocals and stuff like that. So yeah, I agree with his analysis of the song.
Nolan?
Oh, like I got nothing else to add to that.
All right. See, something to note about the music, though. One aspect of Ezio's family that makes it such a pleasure to listen to is at the beginning of the song, is essentially repeating the same verse over and over and over again, with the final notes changing in both length and pitch each time. Sometimes it's somber and quiet, and other times it's emotional and loud. Through a simple idea, though a simple idea in design, in practice, it's created an amazing composition based on based around a simple holy shit, based on a simple concept called an ostinato. Before you guys ask, according to Google, in in music, short melodic phrases repeated throughout a composition, sometimes slightly varied or transposed to a different pitch, a rhythmic ostinato is a short, constant repeating rhythmic pattern.
Hold up, Jonah Bones.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Oh, undoubtedly, yes. It is very correct, I must say. I think that also in that melody, on the ascent is one scale, and on the descent it changes, which makes it very interesting to listen to, much like a harmonic or a minor melodic or a minor harmonic scale.
What do you mean?
Because when you're ascending in those scales, it's like a typical minor progression of the scale,
Okay. Yeah.
step pattern, and then when you descend, it changes like this. Even like either the seventh is flattened, or like or in what were we talking about last time with the Final Fantasy? He flattens the fifth degree of the scale when he descends. So he plays the same scale going down, but then he flattens one or two of the notes.
The more you know for music nerds.
Can we make that our
Pretty
intro
much
for
all
this
that went
section?
straight over my head. I listened to the music, I loved it, and
See, I even put in an explanation of the ostinato, and then you guys are like, "Yeah, still don't get it."
No, yeah, no, but Jonah's got music theory down, and it's good to have his input
my
on it
boy
too.
Jonah here. My boy Bones here to answer us. You said it and then fucked me up. But continuing on with the music, once the solo vocalist is made known, the song greatly increases in both volume and support from the acoustic guitar, piano, and a few violins. The violins greatly add to the suspense and excitement in the air by adding an extra layer of depth. It is preparing you for an adventure of mystery, vengeance, and wonderment.
That's fair.
you
Which
catch
fits
all
the
that
game
in the music.
perfectly. Exactly, right?
Going back to the concept that we feel as though it's like pain and turmoil, like
Well,
I mean,
that is what the character goes through. Literally, all of Assassin's Creed 2 is the fact that Ezio is dealing with his grief of his family.
yeah, and then when you think about like even though it says sorry, excuse me, but the violins greatly add to the suspense and excitement of the air by adding extra by depth and preparing you for adventure and mystery, vengeance and wonderment is a very good adaptation of the song because I mean like when you think of adventure, you don't always think of sadness or pain or turmoil, but that is an adventure for people. And I mean, not always a great adventure, but adventure nonetheless. So yeah, that's very
almost
apt.
the adventure itself. Yeah, no,
It-
it's actually
very
very
apt.
deep, Andrew.
Very apt. Very apt.
Yeah.
But no, if you were in a bad place and you were listening to that song, that could easily make you cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Well, again,
just beautiful music.
it's an adventure, right? Like you go through stages of emotion. So
Oh, and that's a powerful song. The
music
music in
is.
that is really powerful.
Yeah.
It's just a powerful thing to be able to mood by something like that.
What was Bones gonna say?
Oh, the scale of what everything you guys just said is represented in the scale. Because on the ascent, it's like adventurous, and on the descent, it's the turmoil.
So basically, when you hit the peak of that, it's almost like the climax. So then you
Yes.
you hit the resolution as you go down.
By
Yeah.
George, I think you have it. Yes.
Like a story.
Yes.
Exactly.
Wow.
I think we're
Who-
becoming more educated here.
Who would have thought
Yeah.
that a video game had a beginning and then into a
A middle and
climax
an
and a resolution?
I know it's almost like it's a story.
It's almost like it's an adventure, Bones. An adventure.
All right, I only have 2 more paragraphs here. A single violin plays a sad, solemn tone, and the childlike voice begins to stretch to new heights. Just as this is the case, the next passage enters. The vocals go quiet, allowing for the acoustic guitar and piano to play in unison. The woman's voice quietly resumes, but in a different light. This then becomes the extended outro for the piece as it hits its peak. Ezio's family resumes the family cycle of the hypnotic repetition with great power, volume, and impact. The electric guitar, no longer content with its calming performance, roars onto the scene for the crescendo. Gone is the innocence of the music that it started out with. The music is no longer somber or peaceful. It's bold, brazen, and full of heavy emotion. Now, see, for this right here, I think this represents Ezio's journey from the end of Assassin's Creed 2 to Brotherhood, as he slowly grows past his pain for witnessing that horrible act into becoming a man and a master assassin.
Bold and brazen.
What do you like?
Bold and
Hold up.
brazen.
Sorry. What do you? So like, what exactly are you getting at with that, though? Sorry.
Because the song starts off as somber and peaceful.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
somber could be him going through his emotional status, and he actually starts off for the first couple assassination missions just out of straight revenge. He's just angry and upset. But as the song like progresses and it goes from being somber and peaceful to more bold and brazen, like the electric guitar doesn't even care about its calming performance, it just lets loose, right? And I think that's could represent Ezio letting loose of his guilt of essentially failing his family.
Okay.
So it mirrors his evolution then.
Exactly. It mirrors his evolution from being from the boy who watched his family die to the assassin, master assassin, who is calm, quiet, and confident. And sadly, it begins to take its leave. The song dies down as the acoustics for one last time plays for its audience, and then it fades away. So, that's the end of my boy Jared Scott from GamingUnion.net. I just have 2 more things, and I think they're really interesting points of views from the composer about how the song graduated from being just Assassin's Creed 2's main theme to Assassin's Creed's theme in general. This is from an interview done by Music Tech back in 2018. Jesper Kid, I just watched the presentation for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Which was the new game at the time, and noticed that they used my theme too. I'm very proud of it. For me, this is what that theme is totally about Ezio and his family. So what do you guys think about the song transcending its stories to become the main theme of the entire game?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, like it just shows that the impact the song had like within the series, and to be able to take that and like I mean, it obviously changed a little with different instrumentals to some degree, but to take that song and bring it back to more of to keep it within the current series, I think says a lot. That like the song had real impact. It showed a lot what like the character went through, and it also shows like I mean Origins, yourself, like think about all the turmoil that happens in that game. Like I mean, his own son dies and he killed him himself, right? Like that turmoil that he has to live with within the game itself. It's almost as though it's repeating itself, granted with a different character, but the song stays true to what's taking place within the game.
Exactly.
I think it speaks towards how powerful music is and what you can capture in a song with the music. Because Assassin's Creed, you got the whole series there, but you have a song that just encapsulates the entire theme of the whole series, which is so hard to do. Because like you can have a song that like in Final Fantasy VII with the One-Winged Angel that just captures like one character and one event so much, but to capture the whole series, that's a incredible achievement, and it's just powerful that way. And yeah, they've changed each one a little bit for each game, and like you Google the series and hell, it looks like there's 20 games, but
yeah,
but like it's an impressive feat.
Bones?
And it adds to the continuity of the whole series, because now you have that melody basically tying that entire series together. And you notice that with like film franchises as well, and other video game franchises, is they'll have the same type of music, but another composer may take it, make it slightly different with different instruments, but you always have that continuity.
Like Star Wars or the Avengers.
Yeah. I remember growing up playing the Dragon Warrior series, and that 8-bit Nintendo music just carried through like all the games. Like they changed it a little bit, tidied up a little bit as the technology got better, but it was still the same themes and the same sounds. And yeah, it ties the whole thing, so you can play any of the games in the series, but you know what you're playing.
And your memories are really tied to the sounds that you hear as well. So when you have the same type of music in all these series, it also brings back those good memories of playing the previous game.
Exactly. See, however, I think it shows the power of the Auditore saga, which is Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. And hot take here, Andrew. I dare say the best part of the entire series.
Hot take, Austin.
And that's about it for me. Honestly, that's I think we actually nailed the head on here quite well.
Right on. Well, thank you, Austin, for a great introduction into Ezio's family, which I was saying wrong the entire time before this podcast.
That is true.
And we're going to move on to Nolan after these messages.
All that glitters is not gold. We don't glitter, so we won't fool you like that. We're also only $4 a month to subscribe to our podcast on Anchor or Patreon.
Remember, if you like what you hear and you want to be a part of the conversation, you can subscribe to us on Patreon or support us on Anchor.
Well, guys, today, the 6th of February, is actually the 30th anniversary of Street Fighter 2 being released. It was originally released as an arcade game, so in the arcade cabinet and all that, and it was then released later on in the year on the Super Nintendo. But Street Fighter 2 was a revolutionary fighting game that has been considered the grandfather of the fighting genre, and it's one of the most influential games of all time. It's also one of the highest grossing video games of all time, and it was the best fighting video game or best-selling fighting game up until 2019. So this was released in 1991, and for 28 years it was the highest selling fighting game ever made.
So, Nolan.
Yep.
What replaced it?
I couldn't find that.
Because the only game I could think of was Mortal Kombat.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think you're right. So we're talking about like the best-selling game. I mean, let's be fair though. Like Street Fighter was sold on everything. Like for years to come. Like, I mean, you can get Street Fighter today. So yeah, I imagine, I mean, but Mortal Kombat has a lot more iterations. Like what, Street Fighter
had a whole bunch of smaller ones and upgrades, but no, the Mortal Kombat series was much larger.
Well, it was much it was much larger, but they're on like Mortal Kombat 11. I mean,
Yeah.
Let's be honest, like they went through a bunch of iterations. As for like, man, was there ever like a Street Fighter like 11? No.
Well, it's because they keep re-releasing Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, pretty much.
So they came out with Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 2 HD. Like, there's so many different iterations of Street Fighter 2 on its own. And then you have like Mortal Kombat. Yeah, you got Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 11, right? You do have Street Fighter 5 though, just to be honest.
Yeah, but like I said, they keep re-releasing those 4 and 5 like in different modes.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder why. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I haven't played. I don't know. I've never played Street Fighter 4, and I haven't played anything like
3 was the last one I played.
I think 2 was I don't even think I've played 3.
I mean, 2 was the one I played the most. I played so much of Street Fighter 2. And there was also another iteration of Street Fighter 2 that had more of the characters, and I played the hell out of that as well. But no, like, I remember at the time, it was the only fighting game that I could get into. I played a few others that were on other consoles. Like, I had a friend who had a Genesis, and the controls just sucked. You're just mashing buttons, trying to just punch, kick, punch, kick, punch, kick. Street Fighter 2 was the first one. Like, some of these games had combos or they had like special moves, but the controls were so crap that it was more luck than anything if you were able to do something like that. Street Fighter 2 had the slickest controls. All the special moves were much easier to do. And it was also the first game where you could create combos. So you could combo. Yeah. And that is one of the most famous sounds in video game history, is that one.
Well, Smash. I mean, they Ken uses that in Smash too, right? Like, that's one of his main powers.
Well, because Ken is just a carbon copy of Ryu.
Yeah, except I swear to God, I loved Ken. He was my favorite character. But every time he fought Ryu, I swear something gave him a handicap. No, I'm serious, man. It was like the game did not want me to beat Ryu. Like, Ryu, yes. I'm having a problem pronouncing my words today.
I'm laughing at like the excuse. Yeah, no, the game just didn't want me to win.
Yeah, give me a handicap. What is this, golf?
No, like I could fight my brother. I'd be Ken, he'd be Ryu, and he'd win. We'd swap characters, and I'd kick his ass.
Well,
because like Ken just was handicapped.
I have to say that Chun-Li's my go-to character, and I'm not gonna lie though. In a lot of fighting games, I do choose, like, other than Smash, but in a lot of like fighting games, I choose female characters. I don't know why. I just think they do better and probably more powerful. And I wonder at the time, like, I'm not saying she does more damage than any other character, but I do wonder at the time if they like made the female characters a little more agile. And like and in that sense, I wonder if it's because it was like, because think about like back then, like, it was only guys playing video games, right? So do you wonder, like, by adding the female character, they were trying to appease to like a female demographic?
It's possible.
Do you think that's why like she was more agile? I found her to be more agile. Like, I found her to be her like strikes and controls were a little more precise. As for like, I find when you used another character, it was a little more leggy.
I remember playing this in the arcades, and a lot of the guys played Chun-Li because it's because she was good, and she also had that lightning kick, which just messed up the other guy. But yeah. And, that could have been one of the things that contributed to the success of the game. I mean, Street Fighter 2, the arcade version, sold over 200,000 arcade cabinets around the world. And this was at a time when arcades were starting to die out. And it created a second golden age of arcade gaming. Like, it was basically responsible for reviving a lot of arcades that were about to go under.
Do you actually think it even revived the whole like gaming industry? Because like, think back to like when ET came out and how that was like the destruction of like the home console, do you think Street Fighter, even though an arcade game coming to consoles, do you think that itself revived like home console games? Because
I think consoles were going to be the way things are going to go.
yeah,
Because
but
you could,
they did dip in sales though for like a few years though, right? Because that whole situation. But Street Fighter 2 came out on the Super Famicom on June 10th, 1992. And think about like the Nintendo Entertainment System, you know, that's where like ET ended up coming out and all that's right?
Yep.
Yeah. So with it coming on Super Nintendo being like a home console game, like it could also be argued that it was the revival of you know, I mean, granted it is 1992 and I mean a lot of Super Nintendo games came out that year, but it could almost be deemed as like a revival of home consoles.
I mean, it could be because it did basically usher in a whole new genre because like of the fighting game.
Yeah.
Because I remember playing some of them before that, and they were crap. Street Fighter 2 was the first one that I played it, and I was hooked. And after that, like Mortal Kombat comes out a few years later, and it just there's a progression in the genre, and it started. All the interest started with Street Fighter 2. I mean, I've got a crazy stat here, but it came out in 1991. By 1995, Street Fighter 2 and the other Street Fighter 2 like iterations in the arcades, they exceeded $2.3 billion worth of takes for arcades, which is 9.25 billion quarters.
Holy shit.
Well, and then, but you also have to think
That's
about
a big
like
number.
you also have to think about though is that it was ported like 14 times after that too.
Oh yeah, it was.
So and I'm if you don't mind, do you mind if I name the ports?
Go for it.
So you have it was ported. So originally it came out on the SNES in 1992, and then it was ported to Amiga, Atari ST, Commodore 64, Amstrad CPS, ZX Spectrum, PC DOS on 3 floppy disks, CPS Charger, Game Boy, Master System, Sega Saturn, PlayStation Mobile, PlayStation 2, Xbox, PlayStation Portable, so PSP on UMD, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and Windows.
Yeah.
And that's Street Fighter Goddamn 2.
You know what's really funny?
Oh, also, sorry, it also came out on Wii U as a port, which was the original Super Nintendo version.
Holy shit. But you know what's really funny here, guys? I only know about a third of what you just said.
I can
That's
say
because you're the baby here.
Okay, but honestly though, like PC DOS on 3 floppy disks is a little much.
That's just nuts, man.
That's so dumb.
I mean, it sold 15 million software units and is estimated to have grossed over $10 billion in total revenue, which is why it was the third highest grossing video game of all time.
I believe it. I believe it, man. Like, and also like think about it though. Like, remember, I don't know if we talked about this live, but we were talking about how like I just don't remember, but we were talking about how Europe and its access to video games. I mean, like if you think about it, like it wasn't released in Europe until it came to like Atari and the Commodore and to PC DOS because they didn't really have access to like Super Nintendo or the NES at that time, right? So like Europe never got into the franchise of Street Fighter 2 until 1992 when it ended up coming to all
and that was actually December 17th of 1992.
There you go. So I mean, they hit a whole
and the game came out in 1991 in the arcades.
So it's almost thinking about like how Europe never had access to all the previous like systems or like arcades. It's almost like wondering if like even that started the whole Europe sales, like how and like England and Ireland and all that stuff ended up coming so strongly into the video game industry with sales and stuff like that, as if it was because it came to PC, DOS, Atari, and Commodore. Because I know Commodore was very popular, and PC was also very popular in Europe, right? So because Rare is based in Europe, for anyone who doesn't know.
Didn't know that.
No.
So, they have a whole shed full of 007 GoldenEye. Release it.
Yeah, but I was always more of a Banjo-Kazooie guy.
Doesn't matter. They got that too. But I mean, yeah. So, Rare was releasing games there, prior to N64. But when Nintendo came into the picture, they got a bigger audience. So I'm just curious if that had to do with sales. That might be something I might look into.
No, it could be because like it was like the other fighting games before that just weren't that popular, and just because they just weren't that good.
What other video? What other are we talking like Streets of Rage and what are we talking?
Man, I remember some karate game.
Or...
I remember a karate game where like you basically had like 2 kicks and 2 punches, and there was always leg, and it was just garbage, and like it was really hard to find. Like there just weren't any good actual fighting games.
So because of like the diversity of moves and like the drastic combinations of buttons you had to hit, made Street Fighter appeal more to consumers than those games.
Well, yeah, it was a lot more exciting to play because like you had to learn different moves and different combos for each character,
which are hard.
And so it gave you something to work towards. So you had all of a sudden you had variety, which you didn't have before. Because instead you're playing like some karate guy who's got 2 punches and 2 kicks, and that was it. Now you got start off. The first games only had 8 characters you could play, and each one had different special moves that had different combinations to do them, and it was just more fun. And you're playing in the arcade, you got people watching you, or you're playing at home and your friends are watching, and like you pull off a move that maybe someone hasn't learned yet, or someone else has trouble doing. Like it gives you like a lot of satisfaction, and it makes you more excited to kick someone's ass.
Well, I was gonna say even too, like, man, was that the Netflix special High Score? And did you watch that?
I watched some of it, but I didn't finish it.
Oh man, so there was actually if I'm recalling properly, there was a section where a guy was really good at Street Fighter 2, and then he ended up taking a office job.
Yeah.
And he hated it, and his company ended up going into esports.
Oh yeah.
And because he was so good at Street Fighter 2, they actually asked him to coach Street Fighter 2 esports team in the game, like for players who play the game. And like it's amazing to think that how Street Fighter 2 ended up becoming that, like almost like ended up becoming into esports, and how popular it became. I also wonder like how bad was like Street Fighter 3 and Street Fighter 4, like for Street Fighter 2 to like dominate the whole series.
Well, I mean, I think that it doesn't say that the other 2 are bad. I think it shows how good the second 2 are, because 3 is forgettable, don't get me wrong, but 4, they made like 3 different versions, or 3 or 4 different versions of Street Fighter 4.
They did.
Yeah, fuck man. I think I remember Street Fighter 4 for whatever the fuck it came out for at the time, which
I believe Street Fighter 4 came out in like the 360 PS3 era.
Okay, that would make sense. Yeah, it's definitely not PS4.
Because now they're in Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, you're right. And that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about Street Fighter 5 actually. Because like I don't remember Street Fighter 5. I don't even remember.
Yeah, Street Fighter 4 came out in 2008.
And Street Fighter 5 came out when? 2008?
2016.
Yeah, 2008 with Street Fighter 4. It was 11 years after Street Fighter 3.
And yet they're still making Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Street Fighter 5.
It's just a nostalgia thing for that, really.
I don't think I don't know. I guess because like I also think maybe Street Fighter 2 does as well as because for that like 16-bit, view and style. Like
there's a retro feel to it and a nostalgia factor. Absolutely.
and it ages so well.
It does, because it has those combos, it has the special moves, and
the graphics just look good. Like, no matter how you turn it, like if you take a 16-bit, game and turn it to HD, it still looks good.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to reproduce, especially since like there's not much more, like there's not much, I don't think there's much more you can do with the series unless you start adding like a bunch of characters and stuff like that. But like, keeping it the way it is in its prime, yeah, why not just remake it and just make it look more pretty?
Because, I mean, people my age and maybe your age, maybe not Austin's, but like I cut my
Feel
teeth
kind of targeted here.
on that game. Like,
I'm sorry, what?
I cut my teeth on that game when it comes to the fighting genre, because it was the first one.
Okay.
And that's what got me hooked on when Mortal Kombat came out. I mean, the whole progression of Street Fighter 2 and the progression of Mortal Kombat, when you play one player, it's the same. You fight a bunch of random people, and then you got the set bosses. And
Yeah.
it's just like Mortal Kombat was basically just a copy of Street Fighter 2, just had blood and the finishing moves. So it was an evolution.
Really popular.
Oh yeah. So it was an evolution of what Street Fighter 2 started. And yeah, like everyone who loves Street Fighter 2 loved Mortal Kombat. And it's just like, without Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat might not have ever happened. Or at least it might have happened later.
Well,
that's a scary thought.
Isn't
when
it?
was Mortal Kombat
We
released?
might instead of Mortal Kombat 11, we might only have Mortal Kombat 6 right now. But like Street Fighter 2 was also like, it was a huge cultural phenomenon, because like it's like some of the song or some of the music from it, and some of the like the character sayings like Hadouken, those have been thrown into a lot of music, especially in hip hop. Like it's even been referenced in the lyrics by like some like Nicki Minaj and like a number of other hip hop artists. There's a website, Who Sampled, which lists 80 songs that have sampled Street Fighter 2, and like some of them are Kanye West, said his name wrong, Jay-Z, Drake, Psy, like they've all sampled the music from Street Fighter 2.
So yes, Mortal Kombat came out on October 8th, 1992, which was, I believe, like just a few months after.
Was it that early?
Yeah, it came out a few months after Street Fighter 2, which was February. So yeah, like 5 months later, 6 months later. 7 months later. 7 months later.
Huh?
So yeah, you might be right,
really
though.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, back then though, the process of making games wasn't years, it was months.
That is true.
Yeah, because Mortal Kombat was only made by 4 people.
Yeah, so there was a good chance that they saw they saw. Again, I feel like this was covered in High Score on Netflix, but yeah, there's a good chance that because of the success of Street Fighter 2 that Mortal Kombat came out. There is an argument to be made there, but yeah.
Huh? No, that's fucking interesting, dude. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah, that. I mean, Nolan might have a point. That's the reason why Mortal Kombat came to be. Bones, did you ever play? Did you ever play Street Fighter?
Well, not really, because the first console that I actually owned as a kid and got to play was the N64, and I had a Game Boy for a week, and then and then it magically.
Really?
Yeah, I think my big brother just can't remember exactly. I remember I had it for a week though.
He was just like, "Fuck you, kid.
It was a good
You
week.
don't get it anymore."
Yeah, and then when I was like, I don't know, 12 or 14 or something, and then we got a N64, and then me and my little brother played.
God, N64, I miss it so much. I was like 4 years. I was 4 years old when I had an N64 when I got one.
Oh, I just go to friends' houses and they had like a Super Nintendo with Mortal Kombat.
Oh, really? So you're more familiar with Mortal Kombat than you are Street Fighter?
Kind of. I mean, that was just when I like go to like friends' house. We didn't actually own
What
it.
was the other game that came out that was for Killer Instinct? Was the other one I'm thinking of?
Yep.
I had that one. I enjoyed that one a lot too.
I had that one too, and I liked it as well.
That's Microsoft's only fighting game right there.
Really?
Is
I didn't know that was Microsoft.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
It's like a big thing. That's why it was like one of the initial release dates, release titles with the Xbox One. They still do tournaments and stuff like that. They still release characters. Like the Arbiter from Halo is in Killer Instinct.
I'm looking it up right now because I'm like, what the fuck? Because the original Killer Instinct came out in 1994. Holy shit! And they have the Killer Instinct. Oh my god, they are still making it. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
The Battletoads are in it, bro.
What? The
the
Battletoads?
fuck?
Yeah.
Oh man.
This game is not marketed correctly.
No, it's not. No one knows about it, but it's fucking cool, dude.
I would fucking play that again.
I would play Killer Instinct too, man. Killer
And you
Instinct
guys can. You guys got your PCs.
But yeah,
Yeah.
with Capcom and all the those different iterations of Street Fighter 2, one of the things that Capcom was the first to do and kind of paved the way for the rest of the video game industry was they would re-release and remake Street Fighter 2 so many times that it inspired other companies to like with PC games to release patches and just keep adding more content. So instead of having to make customers buy a whole new game, they could just purchase a patch or more downloadable content and just expand on the game. And now you see that in so many video games where you can buy skins or more weapons or new features online.
And this is so that what you're telling me is here. That's probably this game is probably the first game to actually have DLC.
Well,
well, the concept came from them remaking and just focusing on the one game, Street Fighter 2, over and over and re-releasing it with small changes and extra things. Other companies saw that, Capcom was having huge success with just one game and just updating it. And they found an easier way, instead of remaking the game and reselling it, is you just, if you have a customer who already has the game, you can sell extra stuff to them. So instead of having to remake the game, you make a small patch or, more DLC and people buy it.
So it literally was the birth of DLC. That's really cool.
Yeah, like that was the impact that the game had. And going back to Mortal Kombat only being released a few months after Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 was such a success right off the bat. It built a huge fan base for the fighting genre. When Mortal Kombat came out, with all the blood and the violence, like there was so much pushback. And like, so governments around the world were trying to ban that game. If there wasn't already that fan base from Street Fighter 2, that because Mortal Kombat was just Street Fighter 2 with more blood, it was basically the same thing. Without that fan base being so big, Mortal Kombat might have died.
That's true. That's a good point.
So while it might not have been directly inspired by Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 might have been responsible for building the environment that allowed it to survive.
Well,
now that could be a hot take, and that might be my controversial comment.
Hey, nice, another hot take.
Well, I was gonna say that
is Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat created because of Mortal Kombat, the U.S. Senate created the
rating system.
Yeah, the ESRB, because of that, they created the USRB in the States because of the violence. And like, again, calling back to this High Score documentary on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, for the love of God, watch it. But they go into like how like actually, sorry, it's not that. But if you watch the documentary on CBS of Console Wars, which you can actually watch on YouTube for free,
Was
even
that the
Nintendo,
one?
yeah. So they also tackle it because that's when Nintendo ended up making the blood green and getting in a lot of shit for it, as opposed to Sega Genesis making it red and not getting in shit for it. But again, created the ESRB because of the violence, right? Because that's when the conversation started that like video games lead to violence, was when Mortal Kombat came out.
And you can rip a guy's spine out.
Yeah, and you can literally or throw them into like a bed of spikes.
Yeah.
So
no, man, this has been actually a really interesting thing. I've learned so much during this.
But yeah, so moving on to how awesome Street Fighter 2 is. What's everyone been playing?
Honestly, it's pretty much the same. The new season of Destiny starts on Tuesday, which I'm excited for. But other than that, man, I've just been Destiny and Persona 5. I haven't really changed anything up yet.
No, Nolan.
I'm trying to finish Octopath Traveler on my Switch. I throw in some Broforce just for stress relief. And trying to... Yeah, I'm just playing through a couple old NES and Super Nintendo games on my Switch.
Which ones are you playing?
A little bit of Tecmo Bowl. So the next time I play you, I don't lose. Because that was really embarrassing. You never played that before, and I played hundreds of hours of that when I was a kid. And you kicked my ass. Man.
As I never played anything but NHL on 360 and so on, so I was never into football yet.
Shell.
And then Bones. I know what you're playing.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm currently in Elysium. I'm a double agent because I gotta play both sides in Elysium.
You're a sneaky fucker.
That's not sexual, by the way. And also Apex Legends.
Yeah, that's right.
With my dear friend Andy.
So no, that's true. Yeah, I've been playing Apex Legends with Jonah a lot. Actually, like an hour there. Yeah. Bones. I've been playing Apex with Bones.
Actually, Andrew, let's be honest, it's like once a week.
No, well, this week, yeah, we played twice this week. And we played yesterday and today. We played today for 2 hours.
Oh yes, we did.
But yeah, no, I've been playing Apex Legends, and surprisingly, a shit ton of Pokemon.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, I've been playing Fire Red and Yellow at the same time, which is contradictory to each other. But yeah, and then I'm playing a little bit of Origins, not a lot, and I think that's safe to say that's it. I think that's all we have for this episode, unless anyone wants to add anything.
No, I think that's about all for me.
All right. So we covered some great news, some awesome music, and some great retro games. Yeah, that's all we have for today. And remember that you can always subscribe to us on Patreon or support us on Anchor. And thanks a lot for listening. So we all hope you have a great week. All right, bye.
Take care, all.
Sayonara. Remember, if you like what you hear and you want to be a part of the conversation, you can subscribe to us on Patreon or support us on Anchor.